it. Secondly, let him relieve your grief. Now there's sometimes we have grief because we bring it on ourselves. Sometimes it's because somebody does something to me. Sometimes it's on behalf of seeing somebody else be hurt. The fact is, life has hurts. I want to read a letter to you. You may not identify with the exact situation, but you may identify with the feeling. Okay? Dear Pastor, last year my marriage fell apart after 20 years. I really fought hard to save it, but it was of no use. Now I'm divorced and unwanted. I'm writing to you because I don't know anybody else to share my feelings with. I feel so bad, so much of the time, and I feel hopeless about the future. Rejection is a pain nobody should have to feel. My grief is overwhelming. My heart aches with loneliness. I often go home from work to an empty house and just sit and cry. But there is no one to hold me when I cry. Everybody else is too busy with their own lives to care. Life goes on for everybody else, but for me, it drags on minute by tortuous minute. I feel so emotionally crippled and helpless to change. I can't bring back the past or redo it as much as I'd like to. My situation seems to be beyond my control. Please help me mend my broken heart. If you identify, like I said, maybe not with the exact situation, but with those emotions, I want you to hear this. God knows what you're going through. He cares about the hurt, and only Christ can fill the emptiness. Now, I don't know everything about all of you, but I know a lot of stuff about most of you. And I'm keeping it a secret, by the way. Okay. But if I had the permission, I could tell you there's nothing that any of you have gone through that I'm aware of, that there isn't someone else that I could say to you, you know what, you ought to talk to this person. They've been through it. And not so you can get together and wallow in pity, but so that you can help each other. And that is one of the ways that God helps us get through our grief. That is one of the ways the Lord blesses us. King David himself knew grief. Psalm 31:9, Lord, have mercy, because I'm in misery. My eyes are weak from so much crying, and my whole being is tired from grief. Now, David was grieving because of something he did wrong. He had an adulterous affair with another man's wife, and then he arranged to have that woman's husband killed. Okay? He committed adultery, and he may as well kill the man himself. So let's say he committed murder. Sometimes our grief is because somebody we care about is hurting, or the loss of someone hurts us. In David's situation, it was all his fault. He committed adultery. He committed murder. If you want to read his confession sometime, go to Psalm 51, and you'll see the psalm he wrote as a confession for what he did wrong. As a result of his adulterous affair, the woman, Bathsheba, that he had an affair with, became pregnant. And the baby was born very sick. You know that baby's name? No, you don't. Baby was born very sick. David fasted. David prayed. David prayed to God and said, that baby didn't do anything wrong. It's all my fault. I'm the one that should be punished. Please heal my son. Who knows what happened? Baby died anyway. Let's say it again. He fasted. He prayed. He repented. He begged God for mercy. And the baby died anyway. He then did three things that we need to put into practice when we're dealing with grief. He accepted what he could not change. 2 Samuel 12. David got up from the ground. He said, while the child was still alive, I fasted and wept, but now that he is dead, why should I fast? Can I bring him back to life? When you are hurting, when you are grieving, remember that nothing can change the past. Don't play the what-if game. Don't play the I should-have game. Accept what happened. Secondly, play it down and pray it up. Don't exaggerate it, dedicate it. Give it to God. Again, pain is inevitable if you're alive and breathing. But listen to this now. Misery is optional. Pain is inevitable. Misery is optional. Psalm 37. Commit your way to the Lord. Instead of saying, this is devastating, I can't take it. Try this. God, please help me. After he had washed and put on lotions and changed his clothes, he went to the house of the Lord and worshiped. What? Go to church when you're grieving? Go to church when you're hurting? Go to church when your world is falling apart? Why would anybody want to do that? Isn't it better to stay home and relive it over and over? Of course not. One of the things that will remain a mystery to me, I think, the rest of my life, is when people are grieving and hurting, and the first thing they decide to do is avoid worshiping God, avoid their Christian friends, and stay away. I would like to make an announcement if you don't know this. I'm going to step aside just a bit. Make sure I have your attention. Our church is not a museum to display perfect saints. Our church is a hospital for people who are hurting, grieving, and need help. Never get the idea that you only go to church when you have no problems. I actually had a lady at my church in Lockport who started to come. She was attending regularly. One day, on the way out, she said to me, Pastor Don, I won't be back anymore. I thought maybe in some way, we let her down, hurt her feelings, offended her or something. I said, what's the matter? Is there something we can do to help? And this is her answer. I have too many problems to come to church. No matter how I tried to convince her that we would like to help her with her problems, she just kept